So.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another live discussion of Real Talk. Co-host,
Let's go.
how you been?
Fantastic.
Space.
Come on, man.
Sheesh.
What you doing? What
Back
you
up a little
doing?
bit, man. You're too close. Way too close.
Calm down. Are you
Close.
charged up?
I'm ready to go,
See,
man.
this guy.
I'm charged up. I'm ready to go.
You ain't ready.
I don't know if you can hear us.
You ain't
There's
dedicated.
a lot of loud stuff in the background. But
You ain't
how's your week?
fantastic.
Fantastic. I don't know. It's okay. Was it the best?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Church was great on Sunday. It was amazing. It was wonderful.
You know,
Spirit of the Lord was here, man.
the God we serve, he's an awesome God. I can tell you that much. He's awesome. You know, and he dwells, where does he dwell, Steve?
Everywhere, man. He omnipresent.
In buildings not made by what?
Not made by hands.
Oh, man, this thing. Ooh, this table is made by what, Steve?
Hands.
Oh, I just thank God that he's everywhere.
Yeah.
He's everywhere, man. But listen, I had a great week.
He's teaching my hands how to war.
He is. And what is he teaching your heart to do?
War.
You're probably right. It's all you think about, man.
War.
Pray for this guy. So anyways, we've been going through a series. Oh man, forget that. Did you know Theo from
I know.
Cosby's passed away?
Passed away. I know. You know who else died?
The
You may
Prince of
not know.
Darkness.
The
Prince of Darkness.
Ozzy
passed
Osbourne
away.
died also. Passed away.
Yeah, Ozzy.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Sheesh.
Oh.
Crazy.
He only, what was he, 82?
I thought he was in the 70s.
Maybe 70s. He looked like he's 99.
Well, I think he had something too. He ended up catching something like later on.
Really?
Some kind of condition towards the end,
Yeah, Theo died. I was like, whoa.
Accidental drowning. That's crazy.
That is crazy because I love to swim in the ocean. So now it's got me second guessing about the ocean.
Yeah.
You don't know the whole story. Like, you
Yeah.
may have been in a space where you know you're not supposed to be swimming, or I don't know. Because it said an undertow, which to me it's like at a beach, there's not really an undertow. At least from what I've experienced and everything that, been around, there's never a concern. The only concern I've ever been around at a beach is jellyfish in Baltimore. They said, be careful of the jellyfish. But outside of that, I mean, they only warn you sharks in Puerto Rico. They just swim.
Well, yeah. So those two legends in their own rights, I guess, passed away. So it's crazy about that. Can't think of nothing else really in this past week that has
60 days before Bill's season starts.
60 days.
Next Friday, though, is the blue and red scrimmage. The following Saturday, the 9th, is the first preseason game. And then 1 month after that is a home opener against Baltimore, 8:30 at night on a Sunday.
Yeah, that's going to be lit.
It's going to be very lit.
That's going to be lit. What's your prediction?
We're going to beat them.
Of course.
We're going to beat
Of
them.
course. At home.
Of course. But you already know, Lamar's like, he's going to try to revenge.
Absolutely.
But it's the first game. Like, even though, yes, people are going to want to revenge, but it's the first game. I honestly, I'm a Bills fan and I want them to win, but I just feel like the Baltimore has the advantage right now for some reason. I don't know, but it's going to be great. And then the second home game is against Miami the following Thursday. The week following Thursday night is
So
Miami.
2 games?
2 8:00 games in a row. We got like 6 of them.
That's good. It's a Thursday one. That's good.
No, it ain't good for us, but whatever. But anyways,
this
6.
is good for us.
Oh yeah.
It's good for us.
Game day. What am I talking about? Home opener. Less than 60 days away. Can't wait for that.
You still got to be there early in the morning, even on a night
Not
game?
for a night game. No, we don't go in until like noon because we're there till 1, 2 in the morning.
Got it. All right. And then college football will be around the corner soon.
Oh, we played Texas the first home game.
And then you play nobody else like 8 weeks straight. You're garbage. And your team is garbage.
No, they're not.
And your coaching is garbage.
Okay, enough.
So, but anyways.
Enough on the Buckeyes. Relax.
Enough.
You're talking way too much right now.
Yeah.
You're talking way too much right now.
I am. They're garbage. I can't wait.
Dude,
You have no
Roll Tide is
quarterback.
trash.
You have no
Yeah,
quarterback.
we do.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You have
He's
no
a 5
quarterback.
star. We have the number 1 receiver in the whole world right now.
And nobody throwing the ball. So good job.
We have number 1 running back. He's a 5 star running back. We're gonna run the show. Yeah.
So, anyways, we've been having this wonderful series that we've been doing, where we've been looking at the Bill of Rights, but looking at it in a different perspective. Obviously, we're trying to understand the way that the frame writers wrote the amendments, but then we're looking at it from the perspective of how would a Christian uphold these amendments for everyone
Faithfully. And what I mean, you just said a word. Faithfully, I mean faithfully, consistently with everybody.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Not just for themselves or for people.
Or for a group that they favor.
Correct.
But faithfully across all spectrums, no matter what.
Correct. And so we've been going through the amendments and just seeing. And then we'll ask some questions and things to really poke our brains to kind of modernize some things and really see, like, are we really carrying this out the way that it should be? Or can you at least look through the lens of a believer and say, like, this is the way this should be carried out?
Right.
Not looking specifically for this group of people, but consistently for humanity overall as a whole. So,
and it's a heart check. It's a heart check because you have to be honest with yourself. Like, are you having your own personal opinion on the slants of versions you might read? Because you'll read versions of interpretation over social media, or you'll hear versions of interpretation over social media that are slanted. And are you going to accept those biased slants, or are you going to investigate and really have your heart open to understand the proper perspective that needs to be held the way the framers wrote it? So it's a heart check for yourself as well, because it's like, today's going to be a good topic. Today, the 8th Amendment, I got some things to say about this one right here.
Oh, you do, Pastor.
There's some things that need to be said about this one right here. It opens your eyes to a lot of things. So the 8th Amendment,
let's get into it,
of the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution reads as follows. This is what it says.
Put the glasses on. Bring the glasses out.
That's right, I got to. So the 8th Amendment provision is no excessive bail. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. So there's 3 clauses to the 8th Amendment. Now, what do you think one of the biggest things under the 8th Amendment is debated about? Something about
cruel and unusual punishment,
which would be what? The number one that many would say.
The death penalty.
Exactly. It is the number one argument regarding the 8th Amendment, is the imposing of the death penalty. Now, we can get into that because the Bible does speak about death sentences or death penalties. The Bible deals with that.
In the New Covenant?
I didn't know God changes. I didn't know God was a different God from the Old Testament to the New Testament.
Oh,
so, I'm just asking.
By that logic, are you saying?
By the logic, because what you're about to do is you're going to try to pigeonhole me into something.
I'm not, Pastor, you think I would do that to you?
Yes. You will
I'm just asking the question.
You lead the witness daily.
No,
yes.
Not me.
Yes,
not
you.
me, Pastor.
Oh, definitely.
I just want to make sure for our audience, are you saying, when you say that that there were death sentences, are you saying
not death sentences? I should have said not death sentences like death threats, but the death penalty is acknowledged. The punishment by death for the penal code of the Bible was used.
Okay.
It was used.
Okay.
Okay. When I say he's the God of the Old Testament and the New Testament, that he does not change, what I'm saying is what God considers fair and just is consistent from Genesis to Revelations. What God considers just and fair is consistent from Genesis to Revelations.
Okay.
So I will get into the biblical reference of the death penalty a little bit later. But I only brought out the question, what do you think is the number one debate underneath the Constitution, the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution, which is, yes, the death penalty, which falls underneath the cruel and unusual punishment, okay? Now, that also includes the condition of confinement, which also is a heavy contested debate or clause that is argued at the federal level.
Okay.
Did you understand what I was saying? The conditions of confinement, basically populations in jails.
Okay.
And the populations in jails create a condition, an unhealthy condition in several factors. The amount of service they get, the time that they are able to get needs met, addressed to them, the times in which service recovery for situations that happen because it's overpopulated, there's not enough staff, and so on. So there's a lot of conditions that fall underneath the criteria of the conditions of confinement.
But you're talking about like in prison, right?
In prison, that's all we're talking about.
Yeah, but you're not a citizen. You're not a human.
What did I say?
You're not a human being once you get in there.
I'm glad you said that.
Once you get in jail.
Because this is where a lot of Christians, I feel like, slant towards the bias piece. A lot of people literally, and this has really helped me as I've done this study and go through, I've really seen how attitudes change to a human being who has been convicted of a crime. Like, we carry the mentality, you're guilty for life.
Yeah.
They are guilty and they pay their debt to society by going to jail, right? And what ends up happening is when they go to re-enter, they're still held against their crime that they were found guilty of. So basically, it seems like they're guilty for life. Now, I'm going to throw something out there, and then we'll get into the Eighth Amendment real quick. People say that once you go to jail, the inmates or the felons lose all their rights. They lose their rights. Have you ever heard that?
That they lose their rights?
Yeah, they lose their rights. You're stripped of your rights. Once you're a felon or once you're a convicted criminal, you lose your rights.
Yeah. I wouldn't say all of them, but you lose some things that you would think that you still have processed. They're not getting that. That's why you can work for cheap labor right now.
What I'm saying is that you actually don't lose your rights. Thank God that that's actually what the Bill of Rights is doing. It's providing people rights regardless.
You're saying when they get out of jail, or you saying while they're in there?
While they're in there, they have rights.
Yeah, no, they do.
Yes. But I'm saying people tend to say when you are a criminal, right, while you're in jail, you lose all your rights. And I'm saying you don't. That's a misconception. It's a misunderstanding. You don't lose your rights when you go to jail.
Do you believe that you lose some rights? Or are you saying
absolutely.
You keep them?
You can't vote when you're in jail. Your felons are not allowed to vote when they're in jail. You lose that right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But again, there are like social rights you lose. You don't get to go visit your family whenever you want to. You don't get to take a walk, outside the prison and down the street to hang out. You lose those social rights, but human rights, you pretty much, they're intact. You're still protected under the amendments. You're protected under even you still get freedom of speech as a felon. You can still say things. Again, it may not be a powerful thing, but you still have it. Freedom of expression.
You're going to get whooped by that CO.
What I'm saying is that you don't lose those rights. The biggest thing, though, is right here in the Eighth Amendment. This is protecting you highly. This is one right that you literally sit by. Same with the Fifth Amendment. You have the right to the Fifth Amendment. It's still a right. Due process, the Sixth Amendment.
Yeah. So
you are still protected. It's not like you have the best life, but there are laws. I was just saying, I only brought
to the letter. To the letter. You are correct, Steve. That to the letter. The implementation, absolutely not.
Well, that's like in anything, Jack.
No, I won't say that's anything. It depends on who it is, which is why it's great to bring up these amendments, because when you look at things like excessive bail and you look at things like who is this really addressing? Who are we really addressing? How often do you see cruel and unusual punishment being targeted? Do we see it towards a certain group of people, or do we not? Is this just a made up myth? These things need to be seen and addressed, because the frame writers are writing this because of the way that they've seen things happen in before they were freed. But now we need to look at it like, is the spirit behind how they envisioned it, can that still be carried on today? And are we making sure that we're trying to do things as much as possible to let that take place? I mean,
so there is a challenge to this, you know what I'm saying?
To the cruel and unusual.
To the Eighth Amendment, because one of the things is you have what they call originalism versus a living constitution. Originalism would be that you stick to the original context of the framers, whereas a living constitution is it changes based on society norms that develop over time. So this is where cruel and unusual might become different now than it was 100 years ago. 100 years ago, they may not have thought certain things to be cruel and unusual, like when you would nothing. Never mind.
Oh, you mean hanging people upside down on a cross and burning them? Acceptable. Not maybe it was cruel, but it wasn't cruel and unusual.
Well, wait,
and you have to have both.
Cruel and unusual is based upon also excessiveness, like for instance,
but it's still based upon the state or whoever is deeming it. They're the ones who get to deem it.
Well, first of all, it goes federal, then state.
Federal, then state.
Yes.
But most of the time, I mean, the state gets they're the ones who are.
They're still autonomous to do, yes, but they can't go below the standard of the federal. The federal is the standard, and then if the state wants to get a little bit stricter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then they can do that. They have the autonomy to do that, but they cannot fall below the minimum standard that the federal government sets as the precedent.
And to that point, I'm just stating that they're the ones who kind of get that. They're the ones that get to measure that barometer to say, cruel and excessive. 1972, no death penalty. 1976, death penalty back. So, I'm with you when you say excessive, and I'm like, but who's determining excessive?
Well, that's the problem. That's again to the letter. We just want to stick with the context of this and the context of the framers. This is why constitutional law is so important, because constitutional law helps to establish the legalities of statutes and laws that are created. Okay, so when you have constitutional law, those are the ones that set the legality of what's trying to be developed or instituted as law, voted in as law. Very important. And of course, the only way you can help with that is understanding the framers' logic, or what was the premise by which they used to establish that law in the first place.
Yeah.
And so from there, you know what I'm saying? So again, it is always going to be challenging. Why? Because sometimes the herd mentality wins, right? You got people who the herd mentality of the majority will keep forcing people to believe a certain ideology, and they keep pressing that ideology until that ideology grows legs and wins the battle in the public opinion because of the voting. Doesn't mean it's right. For instance, what you got going on right now with a lot of things in government. But we still, me personally, from one of the things I've learned from this, and we'll jump back into the Eighth Amendment, one of the things I've learned is how diligent you have to be as just a regular citizen of the United States to be diligent on understanding the Constitution that runs our country, and understand some of the important pieces of it, because then when you go to vote, you should be asking yourself, what does that candidate believe in regarding these issues? Not your favorite issue, but all of the issues that are to help protect all of the citizens. But it's challenging. Why? Because you got people who only ride certain topics and make their war in these topics and win candidacies on one or two topics, but ignore all the other responsibilities they have to all these other measures, or they just accept it based on, well, you're going to give me what I want, so I'm going to give you what you want on that certain topic. I can really care less about, yeah, it affects citizens, but so what? Because you're helping me win my argument over here in this topic. And that's politics. And that's the sad thing about Christians and politics, because they can get caught up in that. Back into the Eighth Amendment.
Back into it.
Back into the Eighth Amendment. Okay? So, as a Christian, I'm going to be the person that has to be advocating, right? I should be advocating this Eighth Amendment. I should be advocating the rights that criminals should have. Those that have been found guilty in the court of law, who are now confined, they're now in their sentence. Are they being advocated for regarding, like I said, indecent, excessive bail, or fee imposed on them, or cruel and unusual punishment that's been inflicted? So, am I advocating to make sure that these guilty people are still receiving fair treatment, even after their sentencing, but while in confinement?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it with New York State. I mean, the way the Attorney General and the other people did with Donald Trump and his sentencing, they went excessive in their.
They weren't?
No, they did.
Oh, they did.
To the point that an appeal came through and lowered it. Like, it was like, I think they tried to hit him for like 400, like it was whatever it was.
How many indictments?
No, not the indictments, the dollar amount that they wanted him to pay.
Oh, got it.
Was so excessive, and I'm talking about now fines, and we're going to excessive fines now, that when they came back and they appealed, it was almost like they reduced it to almost half of what they said it was.
Really?
So you knew from there that this was intentional to make a mockery out of a person.
Yeah,
I get it. I get how he could probably drive you to want to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
But when you want people to respect you across the board for honesty and integrity, those things matter. It just made me think about that, because when you talk about political sides, like they went after that individual intentionally. Like, that was excessive. Fortunately, there always is an appeals process in the United States of America, unless they ship you out the country. But you're supposed to be entitled to an appeals process, and therefore he was able to win. But you just look at it. Some things are just done for clickbait, to a shockwave, and not really about caring about upholding, the Constitution or the letter of the law, right, even if it doesn't get you what you want.
Right. I agree.
So
I think it's important. I mean, and also I feel like it's important that churches start speaking more about these issues than just the candidate themselves.
Yes.
I think there should be more townhouses in churches, have townhouse meetings to discuss these things, to broaden the awareness of these important issues that are going on in our society. And again, we're not advocating a candidate, we're advocating the principles that our whole foundation, our whole society is being established on. Like, we need to be willing to take care of these things and advocate for these things. I may not like what the criminal has done, but it all boils down to, are we being fair to them while in confinement? People, like you said earlier, many people, once they're in jail, you're not even a human anymore. You don't deserve a fair meal. You don't deserve fair medication. You don't deserve to be able to, experience, kindness from wardens. You're there because you did a crime and you need to be punished. Is that the society we want to be in? You know what I'm saying? Is that the society we want to applaud? Again, there are a lot of great things that we love in our society in America, but there are also things that we have to be open to admit. We have to start paying attention and make some adjustments and respect the fact of why this was put in there. Why this was put in there? Do you know why the Eighth Amendment was put in there? It comes again from the common law of England. Okay.
They had something like, what was it called? The duel of, basically they was able to emasculate people, hang people, like almost similar to like crucifixion. I forgot the
So sheriffs, they're called sheriffs, were doing things inhumane towards the people, and the courts, the parliament was, had to step in. But where it really came into play is there was this guy named, I forget his last name. He was in the courts. He was wrongfully accusing people. He was committing perjury by having people do falsely accuse others, and he had people murdered on false accusations, like the death sentence or death penalty, right? Ends up getting arrested himself, ends up going to court. Do you not know? You want to know what they did to him? His penalty was you will be in jail for the rest of your life, and 2 days each year you will be put in the gallows. You will be put out in public like that. And 1 day out of the year you will be whipped while being attached to a mule, walking slowly through, in public. Dude, that's crazy.
He murdered
people. So my thing is, so this is what they said. What they did was they chose not to give him capital punishment because they were afraid those that were going to testify, they've already seen how people were suffering from the testimony process, right? So they decided to just show him this inhumane torture process to try to, punish him and to get other people to understand, don't do the same thing. It's like, dude, one thing we all know, empirical data does not prove that harsh penalties curb crime. There's no empirical data on that.
That harsh. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
There's no data that proves that.
That the tougher you are in crime.
It doesn't. So the rhetoric is get hard on crime. Beat crime by going hard at crime.
Whoa. You're not Law and Order?
But you know what I'm saying.
Oh, buddy. No, I understand what you're saying.
It doesn't. And the rhetoric is, you got to get hard with crime and really go after them and give them, penalties. One of the biggest problems with the mass incarceration is, of course, the 1980s war on crime, and the government. I think it was Clinton who wrote into a Democratic president who wrote in
who ran off of 3 Republicans winning.
But he was president of the United States. He could have justified it.
He came up and made up
had the ability.
That crime was such a bad thing in these 3 terms.
All I'm saying,
and they were deemed soft on crime, which is why he then ran to be hard on crime. He
gave limits, or what was it called?
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard what you said.
They've been deemed soft on crime for 3 terms.
No, what's his name was not soft on crime. He ran on the ballot. He ran on the ticket. Clinton knew the way he was going to get his second election. He knew he had to go hard on crime. His first term, he did not go hard on crime, but he heard
No.
Yes.
Wrong.
Clinton. Yes.
No, the first term is when the bill got written, and it started because 3.
I think you're mistaken, but I'm gonna let you run.
We'll check it afterwards.
We'll definitely check it.
But I want to say on camera, 3 Republicans had won in a row, and the reason was they made it seem like crime is going on rampant and nobody's doing anything about it. And they had polled and said before they started talking about crime, like there was no issue. Nobody was thinking that those were common issue things. They won again, then won again. And Democrats said, in order to win, we're going to have to get tougher on talking about crime.
Yeah, I agree there.
When he won his first term, in the first term, the crime bill was written up.
So anyways, a Democratic president wrote this bill that you have to have automatic mandates, like automatic penalty, like 15 years for whatever. Mandatory minimums. And that's what perpetuated more of the mass incarceration. But again, going back to the 8th Amendment, just dealing with people as humans instead of treating them like non-humans. Like still treating people like humans. I get it. The development one must have in our heart and mind to appreciate these values that are woven into the amendments. These values that are woven into the amendments as a reminder we are all human. So let's make sure we share that with one another. We are all human. So let's share that. Now, what I can understand is again, I get why people who do not believe in God or who have a slanted idea of God, but when a Bible-believing Christian goes rogue with the rest of a political party and forgetting our values, our biblical values, to remind us we are all human. So let's share that with one another. And we forget that and go rogue and go on a banter about one side of a political party because it highlights something that they love and it favors their kind is crazy to me. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand how a believer who mentions Christ as Lord over their life cannot see another person as themselves, as the Bible says. I don't understand that. I understand we get mad. I get mad. I get mad at people. I get mad. But I don't carry it to where I want them to suffer inhumane things, unfair treatment, impartial biases that are going to hurt them, and it hurts not only them but their family. I'm not after that. Yeah, I might get mad with you because you ticked me off, but I'm not now seeking for something that's going to harm you and everybody in your family. These penalties not just hurt the individual, but it has extended effects, like the ripple effect. It affects family units. It affects communities.
It does. But I think, which is why you were trying to get into talking about the way even some believers see people who have committed crimes, because most people would state that, no, I agree that I wouldn't want to see somebody being harmed, and I wouldn't want to see excessive bails being placed on people so that they have to stay in jail, or I wouldn't want to see excessive fines so people have to. They would say like they agree with it. If you tell them, hey, they stole money from your company, hey, they did this, immediately people are like, oh, well, hold up.
I understand that, and that's, I can understand that from a person who may not have their foundation rooted in the things of God. I can understand that, right? I can understand that somebody might get that feeling. I'm talking about a believer. Like, when I understand when somebody faults you, that's going to be emotional. That's going to be an emotional attack on yourself. You're going to feel very violated because of what they just did. Your soul is going to feel violated. Why did you do that to me? I didn't hurt you. I didn't do anything to you. Why did you do that to me? I get all that, right? What I'm saying is that as a believer, those are those moments that you start to capture in real time what the Lord is shaping us to become as a believer, as a follower of Him. Those virtuous moments of opportunity. Instead of seeking vengeance, He says it's His. Again, I'm not talking like, man, if somebody did me dirty, I'm just gonna be, oh man, okay, hey, God bless him. I'm not saying that, but that's the goal I have. That's my focal point.
So, right now, on a federal level, it allows for the death penalty.
It does. Some states reject it,
and then the states then get to govern that.
Correct.
How do you talk to Christians in politics who deem the death penalty to be cruel and unusual punishment versus those who see like it's not? How do you still allow a person to still say and see like you can still be a believer and operate within the understanding of God?
But the framework of your understanding of God, like
yes,
you're like the virtuous God that you believe in. How can you extend that godliness into this behavior here or into this judgment here?
Yeah, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was listening to it. It said that there's two types of people who can't be punished by the death penalty, or at least two types of people: minors and mentally.
Okay. There's three. There's a third one. I forget what it is. Yeah. But anyways, yes, but you are correct. A minor cannot. Somebody who is mentally incapacitated, like got some kind of ailment going on mentally, they cannot be given death penalty. My answer to that question is twofold. Number one, I think you'll agree with me on this. One of the things that I do not like about these kind of questions. How do you say you're a Christian but you believe in this? When you cast judgment that I'm no longer a Christian because I don't believe in a certain concept that seems biblical or doesn't seem biblical, like the death penalty, that's when I'm going to be like, listen, I am not going to judge you on your Christianity and how you vote.
Okay.
I'm going to challenge you on rethinking about your perspective on on how you voted, but I'm not going to judge you being a Christian or not if you voted. If somebody were to come into our church wearing a MAGA hat, right, and is a staunch Trump believer, I'm not going to say they're not a Christian, but I am going to question them. What makes you that determined, or what makes you that dedicated to that person, or vice versa? If somebody were to come in talking about, Democrats rule, they're the best, you can only be a Christian as a Democrat, I would be like, I'm not judging you that you voted Democrat. I'm not saying that you're going to go straight to hell for voting Democrat. I would never say that. I'm just saying, what makes you so a fanatic about the Democratic Party that you would make it sound like they're more righteous than the other party? You get what I'm saying? So I would have to establish that, number one. I'm not going to establish you can't be or can be a better or not a better Christian because you believe or don't believe in death penalty. That does not make you a better Christian for choosing it or not choosing it in your line of thinking. Would you agree to that?
I would agree with that.
Okay. So now if I were to have a discussion with somebody for why I believe, which I do believe in the death penalty, but I believe in the death penalty based on the measure of what it's being used for.
The perceived evil.
Exactly.
That's the measure.
Exactly. So if somebody were given the death penalty, right, for, let's just say they're accused of murdering somebody, but all of the evidence is circumstantial. Not that you can't get a verdict off of circumstantial evidence, but it's so washy. It's very wishy-washy. You have no weapon. You have no, there's a lot of chances there, right? That person should not be given the death penalty. Should they be given a fair sentence of judgment? Absolutely. Years in prison? Absolutely. How many years? I don't know. If it's the max 15 to 25 to life or whatever, absolutely. But death penalty? No. Now, let's just say you got somebody like a 18-year-old white boy who goes into a black neighborhood and murders 10 people, and it is clearly evident. You have the weapon, you have the act, it's caught on camera. You have the manifesto. You have all of the evidence to prove this was a malicious, murderous act upon 10 individuals in society that was racially motivated. Should that person die? That person should be poisoned immediately. That person should die at the hands of the government, clearly, without absolutely no opportunity for rebuttal. None whatsoever. It is sealed shut. You have the murder weapon. You have him in the act of crime. You have the manifesto. You have all of the documents necessary to prove he's guilty. All you're doing, if you go to the court of law, you're looking for loopholes. Give him due process. Let him be heard. Let him say his sorries. Let him say, I didn't understand. No, you're guilty. It's all there. You're in a clear state of mind. There is nothing there. That person should face the death penalty. There should be absolutely no time spent on this person to give them, they should get a fair trial. They should have their due process. But for them to retort the sentence that's already happened, found guilty, he's been found guilty, right? I don't know if they've sentenced him yet or not, have they? On the state level.
They brought him in for something. I don't know if they
did sentence him, but I don't know if it's at the federal level or the state level, because the federal level is going for terrorist act underneath the racial profiling, I think, aspect. But anyways, what I'm saying is that individual definitely should face the death. You should not let that person survive. There should be no reason for that person to live. He took 10 innocent people that he never knew. He murdered them in cold blood with semi-automatic weapon. And it was all documented. It was all there. He gave up. He gave the rifle. Everything matches. Evidence is there. It's all there. That kind of act of crime, absolutely. Death penalty. They don't need to live. And as a Christian, I'm extremely comfortable with that decision. I'm very comfortable with the fact that in the eyes of God, that would be a just act to have that person put to death. He is considered a murderer. And that's in the Bible, in the book of Numbers, chapter 35. As long as there's the evidence and it's proven and the person is maliciously committed murder, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you got to say to that?
No, it's just, well, I mean, you argue from the standpoint of a person who feels that way. You put out the statement beforehand that I'm not going to limit you less or more of a Christian for your standpoint. So now, what is your conversation like with a person who says, listen, he's only 18 years old,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know much about life yet. In 18 years old, there's still a lot of life you're supposed to understand. Probably by the time he gets to 30s, in his 30s, he'll recognize, some of the wrongs he did. Maybe he should never be released from prison ever again, but to wipe him off the face of this earth, maybe there's a chance somebody could witness to him in prison. What is your conversation with somebody?
I've never killed anybody. I've never shot at anybody. I've never murdered anybody. Me personally, I've never done that. Okay. But all of the things that I've heard, when you kill somebody, it changes your whole life. It changes you. After the first kill, this person didn't kill one person. He killed 10 people. One after the other. He reloaded, went back and shot a mother right in the head because she was moving. There is no redemption there on this side of heaven. He can definitely go to God in his jail cell right now and ask Jesus Christ to forgive him of his sins. I'm cool with that. Go to heaven, but you ain't staying on earth. You're not staying on earth. You can't allow a society to breathe that kind of ideology that you could go ahead and murder somebody and still have your life for afterwards, even if he's 18. He took out 10 people at all different ages. One just was celebrating his son's 3rd birthday, buying him his birthday cake, and he killed him. That 3-year-old will never see his father again. What about his life? His life doesn't matter? Should there not be justice for that? And again, if somebody wanted to keep that person in jail and they vote for somebody who believes in going against the death penalty, I'm not looking at that person as not a Christian. That's not what I'm doing. But I would keep pushing the understanding of where I stand when it comes to a biblical concept regarding the death penalty. I'm not saying that every single murderer deserves the death penalty. To your point about him being 18, imagine if he did just go and just kill one person and regrets it and realize, oh my God, I made a mistake. He's got to suffer for that murder. Death penalty? No. Life and forever in jail? Yes. Maybe even 25 to life. And after he gets out, he has time to do something positive with his life to try to get back. Like an individual did that I don't know, but I read about who was in Chicago. 18 years old, murdered another boy, 18 years old. The 18 boy he murdered was about to be a rising basketball star. He killed him. This is like 20, 25 years ago, right? He did his time. While there, he restored himself. He got himself straightened out, and now he does a program with young men to try to get them off the streets and try to remind and help them to understand what crime does. But the only reason why that man died, the reason why that 18-year-old boy died, which the mother of the 18-year-old boy, she started to advocate for speedier recovery. The ambulance didn't come for 18 minutes. And he bled out. He bled out on the operating table. They said if he had gotten there 5 minutes earlier, they could have saved his life. So she advocated, she stormed Capitol Hill in Chicago, and she was able to get a bill passed that emergency responses must be immediate. They must be there immediately. The chain of response, like 911 to the command post to the whoever, has to be like just like that. where before it was slow. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's why he died. But the thing is that the kid that murdered him, it changed his life. He did his time. He did like 25 years. And now he's out and he's going to schools and he's talking to young men about violence. That's respectful. You know what I'm saying? But those are chances you're going to have to take because there are people who do murder somebody, go to jail, do the time, come out, and they murder again. Should that person get the death penalty? Absolutely. So that's the measurements. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? But I don't believe that the death penalty in and of itself is cruel and what is it called? Unusual. I don't think the death penalty in and of itself is cruel and unusual. They've definitely said that innocent people have been put to death. And thankfully, there are groups now who are advocating on behalf of inmates with new DNA evidence and so on that has been able to appeal and get their sentence turned around to where they're free. They've been able to save people from going to the death penalty, suffering death, the sentence of death, or whatever. So, you know, those are the things that are important. Like we have people out there advocating for that kind of, you know, justice because everything is flawed. We know that it's when it's ran by man, it can be flawed. We know this. And it's important that we advocate. And that's what I'm saying. Learning, going through the amendments, understanding from 1 to now 8, understanding like I need to be more aware. I need to be more vigilant about learning about what's happening and what are people really representing and standing for. Like just because I might like the Republican quote unquote party, but if I got some jamoke on that side of the aisle talking some rhetoric, some nonsense, I can't support that. I can't go along with that. I may not like that ideology of that, but I still might support something else, and vice versa. That might be. I know there are many things that the Democrats support that I support that I love. Doesn't mean I'm going to vote for that person, but I'm going to help push that cause. Just saying.
Sheesh. Yeah, I think in this aspect, it's making sure that you understand just because you don't like a person, just because you feel a certain type of way, that you don't show partiality. If you were in politics, if you were someone who had power and authority to judge or to move some, if you were a judge in this case, if you're a believer, your ideology cannot be wrapped in
Public opinion.
Your not just public opinion, but how you feel about the individual.
Your own bias.
It needs to be wrapped in, is this perceived evil,
Mm-hmm.
or is this perceived incident? Does this warrant this bail that you're providing? Not just, I don't like you, so we're going to push this bail up to something I know he can't afford or she can't afford.
Right.
And that's the things that you're looking at. How, you talked about a heart check early on. How is my heart in regards to upholding this fairly? Or do I find ways to get back at people because I'm now in this position? Like, can I now see myself like, I have power now and we have the majority now votes, or we have this, it's in our favor?
Right.
Oh yeah, let's run this up. Yeah, I don't like him, and I think he deserves an excessive bond, an excessive fine, an excessive, or yeah, they deserve this type of punishment. When you just seen 4 or 5 lesser evil crimes done by people that you may have liked, and they didn't get this penalty. Those are the things that you're looking at when you're measuring and saying, if you're a believer, there is no partiality. It's fairness across the board. If you feel like this warrants the death penalty, then you can't skip over these other 2 or 3 because you're like, oh, well, I kind of like this person, or he's registered to kind of my affiliation.
Right.
It has to be across the board. So it really just begins to check your heart to see, what are you really a part of? What are you really attached to? Is it this party or to the Word of God? Not saying that you can't be a part of a party, but
correct.
But the Word of God then it convicts you in your morals to say, like, hey, you know what? No, I didn't see why we should cut this funding. I don't see why we should have did this. X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, the party should not define you. The Bible should define you.
Yeah, if
Your beliefs, your convictions, your virtues, Now, I may be associated with a party, or I might be associated with, whatever, a certain platform, but that's just because I might find that to be more favorable to the things that I'm trying to advocate and push. But I should want to advocate everything that is fair and equal for all citizens. And I think that's going to be, and I know that's a hard agenda. Honestly, that's a really hard agenda because parties we're so polarized on our sides now. Like there's very little bipartisanship. There's such polarization on both sides, and it's reached itself into the Christian church that people are so polarized on their sides of the camp. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if that church over there is a hard Trump follower, if that church over there is a hard, at that time, Democratic follower, Biden follower, whatever. It's like now all of a sudden we're looking at one another like, you aren't Christian. You can't be Christian following that man. I've heard people tell others, you are not a Christian following Donald Trump. There's no way on earth you're a Christian. And then vice versa. I'm just saying. I would never say that. I would never say that somebody's not a Christian because they follow a certain person or follow a party.
Follow? What does that mean to follow?
No,
so that's
what I'm
a
saying
disciple.
is, shut up.
And if it's
I'm
a
not
disciple,
saying, shut up.
If it's a disciple, hey, I ain't no disciple of nobody.
I'm not judging people's Christianity based on their political affiliation. I would just dive into a dialogue with them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the only thing that you can do. You're not helping by yelling at one another. What's going to help is having a conversation.
I agree.
People might walk away still believing what they believe in, but at least you're trying to have a good dialogue. So when we break these down, when we're going through the amendments, and we're not here as scholars being able to interpret every single amendment. What we're doing is, as believers, as Christians, biblically trying to make reference points for these amendments and how do we advocate for them? How do we, as a Christian, or if I was a Christian in politics, how would I be able to maintain advocating that which is in the amendments and maintain my biblical convictions as a believer? And that is the walk that an individual must be willing to do. They must be willing to do that if they want to get into the politics as a Christian. And then you as a citizen, quote unquote Christian, having to involve yourself in the voting process. Don't just go and vote because your parents voted Republican. Now you're voting Republican. Like, pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to these things. That's all. And it gets challenging. It gets difficult. I get it.
And no matter how you vote, who you voted for, make sure that in your day-to-day living, you are not showing partiality towards anyone. If you're a believer, that you are trying to demonstrate the things of God. That speaks more volume than anything. Seeing a person who can, in their day-to-day grind, still be loving to people, still be respectful, still be kind, no matter what, still be honest and truthful.
Right.
That speaks more volume than the most knowledgeable person who could break down something, but treats people like crap. So,
yeah, that's not good.
Great conversation. Great discussion. Next week
we might have to break this up a little bit. I think people are getting a little stale with. People don't like politics, or people don't like these kind of discussions. I love this. Honestly, I've been loving this series just because it's been.
We only got to 8. At least go to 10, Pastor, and then break it back up. But don't worry, we will come back to 13. We're gonna get there. But yeah, we'll go at least to the 10th Amendment, and then break it up for other discussions and topics. But it's still good. It's still healthy. I think the church doesn't need to run away from politics. It's been told for so many years to do that.
Well, it depends on, again, what kind of church you're brought up in, because there are some churches that are completely about it and been about it for years.
That is true. But either way, we'll be back next week talking about the 9th Amendment and continue to further this conversation. We'll be back 7:45 p.m. But if you did enjoy the content, if you was watching with us, just make sure you like the video and share the video. Continue to get more people to watch the content that we're putting out. So we'll see you back next Tuesday, 7:45 p.m. God bless.
God bless. Take care.